Inside each one of us sits an indestructible soul. Our soul holds all truth and was placed there by our Creator, by design and with intention. The hardwired truth is that we are loved unconditionally and created for a unique purpose. We also have an enemy who works relentlessly to blind us from knowing the truth. He does not want us to discover what lies hidden inside. IDKY is produced with the goal of revealing fascinating humans who represent an illuminated presence. The hope is that as we, the audience, open our minds and hearts to the witness of authentic people, our own lives will be enriched. Keeping a curious consciousness of I don't know yet is like opening the door that will increase acceptance and love and bring forth healthier relationships to greater unity. We're back with our next session with William Wishbone from Nashville, Indiana, and we're going to just pick up right where we left off. So I'll tell another story about another interaction that I had with William, and it starts a little before that because in my book, The Path to Your New Self, I wrote a story about meeting Phil, the owner of the old Bartley house. That's where we're filming right now. We're upstairs in the old Bartley house. It's a volant and coffee shop. So, William, what's a volant?
So, a volant is our house-made donuts. They're made with a fried croissant dough. Some of them have fillings, like apple pie fillings, things like that, but
they're delicious. So I was walking past the old Bartley house before it was open, and Phil, the owner, sees me kind of like spying in the window, and he invites me in, and he's like, our pastry chef, Dietrich, is here testing new recipes. And I'm like, oh, he said, will you taste? And I said, oh yeah, will I taste? The place was a mess. They weren't anywhere near opening. And I came in and I tasted it. It was fabulous. I don't know if he changed anything with it, but it was delicious at that point. So if you're in Nashville, Indiana, come to the old Bartley house. It's a beautiful place. And they have great food and coffee. And you might be able to see William. So Phil at that time told me the opening day, and I wanted to be here to support him and the new business. So of course I popped in on opening day. And it was a fun atmosphere. There was a great energy here. There were people visiting Phil from Evansville, Indiana, which is where he's from, and the flowers were being delivered, and it just felt like such a great place to be. And Phil and his wife Donna invited me to sit at their table as they were welcoming guests, which I was very humbled by, and of course I said yes. So I sat down and we're talking, and Phil said, oh, by the way, I want to tell you, I hired William the pirate. I said, you did? And this story is in my book, but I said, you did? And I said, tell me about him. I had met him at this point, but I think we'd only had the one conversation. And he said, he's got everything I need. I like his personality, and he's equipped, and all I have to do is teach him the skills, and I know he's going to be a good employee. And he said, William asked me if he needed to wear a certain outfit to work at the old Bartley house. And I told him, William, you be who you're supposed to be. If you're a pirate, you be a pirate. So William comes in dressed in all kinds of different expressions of that he chooses to make or design or whatever for himself. It's quite fascinating, the talent that's inside there. So Phil says, yeah, you know, he's performing at the 4-H fair this week. And I said, he is? And he said, yeah, Donna and I are going to go. You should join us. And I'm like, I just heard another invitation. Yes, I'm going to go watch William at the 4-H fair. So go back to my roots of loving the 4-H fair. And so I went on the evening. Phil and Donna did not make it. I wasn't surprised. I think that was their opening week. I thought they have to be exhausted. But I did run into a friend, Denise, who used to own the Daily Grind. And so we'd had some conversations. So I happened to see her. She was actually there to watch William perform too. So we sat with each other and enjoyed the music. And my takeaway from that is that when he was singing songs that I did not know, his original songs, I had such a desire to know what the words meant because I love to hear what the words mean. And so I was kind of stumbling on that a little bit, like not knowing what he was singing, and the acoustics at the 4-H fair weren't all that great. So I couldn't really just hear what he was singing about, but I could notice that he had good vocals, he could play guitar, the drummer seemed talented for what my limited ability says about talent and just the courage to get up there on stage. He did perform a song, and I don't remember which one it was, but it was one I knew, and then I was like, oh, he's really good. So when I was able to put all of that into context, I decided, you know what, I think I really would like to go watch him entertain sometime. I think that he would be a fun person to see the whole stage set. And so that was kind of how my takeaway from it. Went and enjoyed a funnel cake, met some new young people that I had met in the town throughout the fair area, and then it was time for me to go. And as I was leaving, I was walking out, and William was taking a smoke break. So I got to go up to him, and one thing that I forgot to mention from yesterday's story was the first time I met him, I asked him I said, you have so many talents, what's your greatest talent? And he said, philosophy. And I said, oh boy, we're gonna need another conversation because we don't have time for that today. So anyway, I went up to him as he was taking his break from his singing, and I said, hey, we still have to have that conversation about philosophy. To which he responded, yes, we do. And I was like, okay, good, another invitation, he's up for it. So do you remember that?
I do.
Okay. So that was kind of a sweet moment for me. And we've never really had that conversation about philosophy yet, but he's dripped on me, and that's going to come forth through some other things that we're going to talk about in episode 3. So for right now, what I thought we'd like to ask, my question for him is, you have a lot of talents and you have a lot of musical talents. And I would like for you to tell us about where you are in that, what talents you're practicing right now. Maybe tell us things that you enjoy about music and maybe where you're going to go.
I mean, music has, I think for most people who find themselves in a position of being a musician or aspiring to musicianship, it's had a lifelong impact, and just always, sound just occupies such a different space, or it can put us in a different mood. There's something so, it's not tangible, but it's so real. And to be able to be a part of that, to create that, I mean, if you've ever been in, show choir or anything like that, or if you've ever just sat in on a jam, it's amazing when you can harmonize with other people. And I think that music in a way is it's a microcosm of what can happen when people work together. I mean, not everybody is standing at a piano playing the same E major chord and calling it music. You've got a percussionist keeping time. You've got a bass player that's, keeping the foundation solid. You've got backup singers. You've got extra percussionists, and you've got the audience, the people that are willing to respond and further amplify what's going on. So I mean, to me, music has always been it's a conduit to, again, like we were talking about earlier, an aspect of our humanity that we've just lost. I mean, people who go to church, one of the things that everybody joins in on is song. It's one of the most, rapturous and rejoiceful moments is when everybody's just kind of unplugged from the nonsense and unified in something that is like so simple that requires nothing more than just what you bring to the table. And there's just something to me incredibly sacred about that.
I love how and I'm experiencing that now being a speaker, you brought the audience as a participant. I know that that's true, but I don't know if I named that before. Mm-hmm. That can create a whole big room of energy that is undescribable.
Yeah.
Like the great concerts that you've gone to, or the things that really move you and really touch you and get down, right?
Right.
During COVID, I really missed live music. And I enjoy concerts, but the concerts that I really enjoy are going to
The more
fair.
intimate kind of things, yeah.
And knowing the person singing, that always had, like, if I know the person singing, like, they could be the worst singer in the world, I'm still gonna love them. But that's what I love about Nashville, Indiana. And my husband and I like to go to the Ferguson Beer Garden in Saturday afternoons. And we don't know, sometimes we'll know the entertainer and sometimes we won't, but it really doesn't matter because we can discover something, or just the boldness of somebody getting up and singing from a crowd. And so you just know that in order for them to do that, they had to go through some stuff to find that courage and to get there. And I just admire that so much. I love live music, more so since COVID than I ever had before. Mm-hmm. So what else would you like to say about like what you're doing now with your music, or what does that look like for you now?
I mean, for me at this particular point, like we were talking about earlier, I've not necessarily gotten out of music, but I have so many other creative fields that I enjoy. I mean, I like painting, I like sculpting, I like doing special effects. Like one of my favorite things, like I love watching movies. Like when I was younger, I wanted to be a film director. I wanted to be in like the special effects makeup department. And so like watching, behind the scenes, like documentaries, practical effects and how things were made. Like I just love tinkering with stuff, and I mean tinkering with ideas as much as anything. And sometimes, that comes out in a poem or a song, and I've had it happen that I have an idea for a song and I sit on it for months. Occasionally I'll come back to it, maybe I'll scribble half a verse, but it's like it needs time to ferment, it needs to like chili, it needs to set up for a couple of days, and everything needs to homogenize before it's really at its peak. And then there's other times where I have an idea for a song and I can get it done in like 45 minutes because it's all just right there. And I find that some of my best writing, my best creativity, it often feels more like I'm taking dictation or direction. It's not like I'm overthinking it, I'm over-involved in it. Like I can plan and plot the steps, but it's like, when the scissors are just gliding through the wrapping paper and you're just kind of there guiding the process along. Like when it comes to painting or songwriting or poetry or the art of conversation, really, it comes down to being willing to let go a little bit. Mm-hmm. And, I go through periods where sometimes I feel really inspired to like work in my sketchbook or work on a song or do a larger piece of art or make a new hat or something. And then there are times where I fall out of those interests and new things come around. And, being a flexible enough person, and, people like to say a lot of things about how talented I am. Really, it's just from like getting bored with the little talents that I have cultivated. And it's like, okay, let's figure out something new now. And so it just all kind of comes back around. It's like, oh, I haven't revisited this in a while. I'll do this. And so it all kind of builds in a spiral kind of way. It's so broad. Mm-hmm. The skills that you're willing to like dig into or dive into, it's just a huge perspective of a lot. Yeah.
Do you know where that comes from genetically? Like, do you have ancestors that were super creative, or?
I come from a lot of creative people. I mean, on both sides of my family. I think life is just fascinating. I mean, the amount of times where I will just look at any given thing in a room and just consider it for what it is and just be like mind blown and stumped. Like drinking vessels, for example, they trip me out because it's basically a coaster with walls. That somebody had the idea that it's like, man, I don't want my water spilling all over the place. But if I just put a little bit of a lip on this flat surface, and here we are, we can keep 8, 12, 20 ounces of water stable, not spilling all over the place, just because somebody had the idea to make a wall on it. And like, how many little things in life, like this table or the scroll work and ornamentation on these frames is a product of somebody's imagination. And it's so easy to just take things for granted, like, oh yeah, we're in the upper floor of the old Bartley house. It's like, this has been here since the 1880s.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what conversations were had in here before?
Yeah. No wonder you and Phil connected, because
Yeah.
he saw that too.
Right.
He's made this home just such a contribution to the history before it.
And I think that, like, the texture of humankind, as I call it, is grit. It's not polish. The idea that everything needs to be so microscopically finished on such a level, like, you miss things being able to, like my nail polish, for instance, right? Several layers of, like, tiny glitter, right? But it's like with every single pass, the bits of glitter that were there before catch the next ones. It's like sand building up on a dune. Every little bit of erosion stacks onto the next thing. And so if it's just smooth and flat and polished, nothing ever catches, nothing ever gathers or congregates. Cultures don't form, ideas aren't shared. Just this uniform, homogeneous idea that there's some great narrow avenue of conformity that if we all just adhere to, everything would be fine. It's like you miss so much richness, and it may be chaotic and incompatible with particular worldviews, but that does not discount its existence. Or the existence of infinite possibilities.
The question in my mind is a little bit of a divergent, and I don't think I'm liking it, but I'm going to have to say it anyway. How was school for you? Sorry, I'm a teacher.
No.
I'm thinking misunderstood. I mean, I don't know.
Oh my gosh, school was a gas.
Yeah.
It was a circus. It was the best ethics lesson I've ever gotten.
Fascinating.
I came to learn almost everything I know about human bullshit from the school system. I mean, like, I can give you a prime example of what school was like for me. It might not surprise you that I did have some difficulty making friends when I was in school, and second grade, I started seeing the school counselor just on that very basis of, like, how to, make friends and influence people, as the title of the book goes. And one of the things that I remember was the idea of, taking the initiative, of initiating, of finding, if you're on the outside looking in, use that to your advantage. Look in and see what it is that you have in common with other people. And that is usually a very good basis on which to form relationships with people. And I didn't have a lot of things in common, similarities. I mean, kids in my grade were, playing Pokemon, and I was busy reading encyclopedias on Egyptology.
Yeah, was your brain working at this? Your brain's been working at this level since you were.
I mean, I don't know if it's always been working at this level, but
but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, just there's a lot going on.
Yeah. And so, like, I was really trying to break it down and simplify it. What do I have in common with my peers? And whenever we went out to recess, we'd usually just walk around the playground. I'd noticed that everybody, regardless of what they're doing, whether they're playing kickball or tag or they're on the swings or whatever, they're all playing on the same playground equipment. And the playground equipment is on this big kind of gravel kind of contained thing. And it's very, like, rounded, pebbly gravel. If anybody's ever been to a playground, I'm sure you've seen it. It's many different stones of different varieties, slate and quartz and things like that. And the idea struck me to form a club. And the entire basis of this club, all we would do is we would get together at recess and we would sift through the gravel on the playground, and all of the stones, I think there's some kind of like yellow jasper or something, kind of a cloudy canary yellow color. They looked like gold. So we would just collect all the gold and stash it in one part of the playground. And that would just be what we'd do. We would just meet at recess, and that's how we'd spend our time. We'd take our cash at the end of recess when they blow the whistle, we'd deposit it for the day, and go back. And I was like, this is $1 million idea. This is how you make friends, right? Yeah. So I got a sheet of paper out of my notebook, and I was going around lunch and like taking down names and everything. And everything went fine for about 2 or 3 days. And then they pulled me into the principal's office and mind you, I'm in 2nd grade, inciting gang-related activity.
I'm sorry.
It's funny at this point, honestly.
They shut down your creativity.
Well, it's not just the creativity. It's like I went to them for help.
Yeah.
I went to and it was not like, I don't know, a meeting with the other kids to be like, hey.
You're 2nd grade.
I'm in 2nd grade, and I'm let out to pasture, to take the initiative and the incentive and all that. And I did what I thought was what I had to do. You see what I have to work with here. Yeah. So, if that's any indication what school was like for me.
Well, and I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm sure that I had students that were creative like you, that I didn't see the potential like I could have. Mm-hmm. I think the way it's set up, it's just not set up for that. But I hope that our education system can start moving in a better direction with that, for individuality and seeing people for who they are and empowering that creativity, encouraging it. 2nd grader's not going to create a gang. Yeah,
no. And if a 2nd grader can create a gang that is going to become a problem, you have bigger issues to worry about than.
Yes. Well, I'm glad that you come off about it now. I'm sure there's some students in school right now that can really relate to what you're talking about in different ways, different fashions.
Yeah.